Feedback is a gift. When used and embraced in your leadership development, is going to propel you to the next level and lead you to have a higher level of influence. In a recent poll I conducted on LinkedIn, 35% of leaders stated that receiving feedback while working towards promotion was actually the area that challenged them the most. I wasn't surprised when I heard this because this often comes up with the leaders that I coach. Today, I'm going to share the 3 main sources of good, beneficial feedback that you need to go after, seek out, and get in order to advance your career in leadership. And then I'll share strategies to tap into that feedback and put it to use. I'm Philip Hill, leadership coach. If you want to go further and learn more about having a higher level of influence, using feedback and growth mindset to elevate your level of influence in your leadership, download my free guide, Elevated Influence for Leaders. It's in the description and in my bio. Just click the link. You can download this free guide. This is the guide that I wish I had when I was working through the ranks of management in my leadership journey. There's a ton of good strategies. It'll give a lot of value and it'll further help you get to that point where you're leading with a higher level of influence. Let's get started. The number 1 main source of feedback is from the people that work for you, the people on your team. You must start with your people because these are the folks that work with you every day and you have the direct impact on. If you don't have a clear understanding of how you're perceived as a leader or how your team is feeling about decisions of your leadership and the organization, you're missing a critical piece in developing your leadership. If obtaining feedback from the people that work for you brings up feelings of anxiety and fear, you might need to do some mindset work. Feedback is not judgment. Feedback is something to help you grow and develop. Growing and developing as a leader results in more confidence and clarity of your vision, which ultimately leads to a higher level of influence. There's daily routines that you can implement immediately to connect with your team and grab feedback easily. If you're not already connecting with your team on a daily basis, I highly recommend making time for small connections. It doesn't have to be 30-minute meetings. It could be an instant message just to check in and see how they're doing. If you have a large team with managers that work for you and then individual contributors that work for them, you probably don't have enough time to reach out to everyone on the team, especially if it's a big team. But you should definitely be connecting with the managers that work for you. The leaders that you lead are critical to have constant communication with. So think small when it comes to gathering feedback from these people. You can ask very simple questions daily that don't impact your time and your ability to perform your work. It's actually going to create really strong relationships because the people that work for you are really going to notice that you're checking in with them and you're listening and you're accepting their feedback. You're bringing them into the decision making even more. So here's a few examples of what you could ask your team. Ask them, what are your thoughts on this new program or project that we're rolling out? What is one thing that you think we can improve on our team? How do you think that presentation went? Do you have any feedback for me? In my leadership experiences, checking in with the managers that worked for me after some high impact decisions have been made and rolled out is definitely critical, but I like to take it a step further and loop my team in on what's happening, what's coming up, and try to get feedback before those big changes are made. Looping in your team and making sure they feel they have input and you are listening and you can consider what they think about decisions that are being made is very critical. And it's a great time to gain feedback. Things that I would share with my team to get feedback is I would say things like, here's what I'm trying to accomplish with this, or here's my thought process when I'm making this decision. And that opens up the door to your people, specifically your managers, to understand your thought processes. And they can learn from it, but they can also give you feedback on it. They will help you uncover things you're not seeing. They'll uncover things that are happening on the lower levels that maybe you didn't consider. This is great feedback. The second main source of feedback is getting it from your boss. Your leader's job is to take your personality and your leadership style, and then provides feedback based on that and the organization's priorities to really make a connection of how your contributions can really benefit the organization. Here's the thing, you might not have a leader right now that is consistently giving you feedback. Please don't make the mistake of depending solely on your leader to make those first steps, to reach out and to provide beneficial feedback to you. You are just as responsible to seek out your own feedback. Ultimately, you are the only person that's responsible for your growth and development and advancement of your career and the level of influence that you want to have. I've seen it many times in my career where leaders that want to advance aren't getting consistent feedback or feedback that's really tangible to make adjustments. And it's easy to play the victim and say, my boss is supporting me. There's not a level of training and development in this organization. And those things could be true. But like I said, ultimately, you are responsible for seeking out feedback, continuing the advancement of your development. When I was advancing my career in getting to upper level management roles, I had a boss that wanted to connect with me every other week to have a one-on-one meeting to understand what I was working on and help me develop. I asked for a meeting every week. I didn't want to wait every other week. I was advancing. I wanted to earn a promotion. I wanted to have a higher level of influence. So I asked to meet every week. And my boss was totally fine with that. They were excited. They wanted to see me grow and develop, and it was extremely beneficial to me. But on the other side of that, I saw my peers that didn't do the same thing, and they actually avoided these developmental conversations with their boss. But then they were disappointed, and they were negative about their future in the company or not being able to advance. And you really have to step back and really understand that you're responsible for it. If you look at your development as someone else controlling it, you're not going to get far. You have to own it and reach out and take the first step. The third main source of feedback is from upper management. This is an area where I often see leaders not even try to get feedback or avoid talking to upper management in general. Some people might feel uncomfortable going a level above their boss, but there's nothing wrong with that. Your boss should be aware of it and your boss should encourage it. This is actually a very good sign. Think about how upper management sees this. They see someone that is already successful as a leader, but wants to achieve more, has this desire to have a higher level of influence on the organization. This is what upper management wants to see. This is what puts you in the spotlight and really helps you advance and fine-tunes your leadership skills. Upper management is ultimately what's making impactful decisions about the company culture, about innovation, and the strategy that the company needs to succeed. These are the people that can really add a ton of value to your feedback and help you put things in place to make sure you're on the right track. If you're wanting to earn a promotion, upper management has the answers. They are the key to better understanding how to get there. Those are the three main sources of feedback. There are many other sources you can get feedback from in your organization or even outside your organization. If you're an ambitious leader ready to have a higher level of influence, those three sources are going to add a ton of good feedback. When I work one-on-one with successful leaders that want to have a higher level of influence, I focus on 360-degree feedback. If you don't know what that is, it's basically getting feedback from every area of people you work with, the people that work for you, your leader, your peers, and potentially upper management. I didn't mention peers as a main source of feedback. It is a good source, but you have to be careful. Sometimes your peers will see you excelling and leading, and they might put you on a pedestal and think of everything you're doing is awesome and great, and you don't make mistakes. And they might be hesitant of giving you feedback. There might be some personal relationships there. Feedback from peers is good. I definitely recommend it, but when it comes to really advancing your leadership skills, those three main sources is where I recommend going. I go further into strategies for elevating your influence as a leader in my guide, Elevated Influence for Leaders. It is a free PDF download. I wish I would have had this in my leadership journey. I've taken my successes and failures, and I've taken my work with successful leaders who I coach one-on-one. Their most common beneficial strategies when developing themselves and advancing their career. So check that guide out and see how far you can get and let me know what you think. The link is in the description and my bio. I hope you find a ton of value with it, and I will see you next time.